Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network, we're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. It is another wonderful, outstanding Thursday in the Valley of the Oven. Other people know it as the Valley of the Sun. My name is Robert Jones. I am your host for the iNetrepreneur Network, and I'm glad that you are here with us today. I have some exciting news. The manuscript for the fourth book of The Art of Connection has been sent through our third proof, and it is in the publisher's hands, ready to go get published, or whatever they do back behind the curtain. All I know is I'm excited. I can't wait to get the book in my hands and feel that 2.1 pound book of amazing quotes, thoughts, and questions written by entrepreneurs, business owners, and influencers just like you. So again, the #1 international award-winning best-selling book series, The Art of Connection, Book 4, 365 days, although there's 366 in there, days of gratitude quotes. So at any rate, I'm really excited about that. Also, you know what? We love your likes. Please like us on Facebook, like us on YouTube. It's iNetrepreneur Radio. And it's YouTube/iNetrepreneur Radio, Facebook/iNetrepreneur Radio. And you know what? I get it. If you can't spell it, just bookmark it. You'll never have to worry about spelling it again. We just want to make sure that you come and spend this time with us. See, there it is. Oh my goodness, all that good stuff. Also, don't forget, we also have magazines. We have the iNetrepreneur magazine, and we have the Contemporary Woman magazine. You can go to either one of those websites and sign up and subscribe. And guess what? It is free to you. You don't have to put it on some charge card or anything like that. We want all our members to be seen, be known, and create impact. Also, go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. I'm really excited. First week of March, I believe, we're starting up our author literary circles. It's a great place for entrepreneurs just like you to be able to go and say, what is this authorship thing? How can it help me? Oh my goodness, you're a multi-time, best-selling author. Well, we have things for you too. If you want to learn about, ads on Amazon, if you want to learn how to write more creatively, if you want to learn how to create a one sheet, or you just want to hang out and have a good time, what a great place to go in our author literary circles. So much more NT events. And I also want to say a big woot woot to our Phoenix launch team. We just launched Phoenix, and we had 30 people show up for our first meeting. We are in partnership with the Better Business Bureau of the Southwest, which includes San Diego and Phoenix here, and another city. I don't remember what it is, but it doesn't matter. All I know is we're having a partnership with them, and that's what I care about. So much fun. And so I want to bring our first guest today, because it's like time just to get into the show, because I could talk about all the things that are going on till I'm blue in the face. Oh, which I am. I'm blue in the face. Kimberly Lechnick, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Oh, I am doing extremely well, Robert, and just so grateful that you extended an invitation to me to be here with you today.
Well, I am so glad that you took me up on that invitation, because sometimes it's like, you get it out, you get it quick, and you just got to show up to glow up, right?
Absolutely. That's the way it goes.
And you did. I had an open space, and you said yes. And I say there's a couple of really powerful words in the world, yes and no. And you said one of them. And I want to say thank you for that. Everyone, I am with Kimberly Lechnick. She is the owner and the founder of International Pathways by Design. You can contact her at klechnick@gmail.com. That's an interesting email, by the way. Or call her at 630-715-2324. Again, this is Kimberly Lechnick. She is owner and founder of International Pathways by Design. And again, I'm so grateful and thankful that you're here today. And I kind of want to get into it, Kimberly. There is so much going on in the year of 2024.
Yeah.
People are waking up from their COVID coma. People are understanding that they need to create, massive amounts of awareness. People are understanding that, hey, people are coming out to do business again, high-fiving, giving hugs, kissing babies, and all of that stuff. But, a lot of things that I've seen out there are people, they're wanting to be in Zoom to remain connected, but they're really hungry also to be in person, connecting again. What are your thoughts on that? And what is the cause of that, in your opinion?
I think it's just our natural state of being. It's our natural state of being to want to be connected with one another. And after we were in one of the most harrowing times where we were experiencing isolation, thank goodness for social media. But I think now more and more we're stepping out. We're really trying to see, is it safe for me? Is it safe for me to step out into my community and connect face to face? And I think people are finding that absolutely, yes, without a doubt, unequivocally, it is safe. And we're seeing more and more people do it because we're not created for to live in isolation. We're meant to live in community. And I think that we do appreciate the online spaces, but more importantly, we do like that face to face.
Yeah, and there's something about face to face. And it's like, I feel like, we've gone from face to face, then we went straight into this virtual environment only, and
Mhm.
now it's kind of like we're coming into the space of the hybrid and the virtual, and kind of making memories in all these new, forms and facets. And I haven't met you in person before, but at least technology gives us the ability to connect in a way that even the phone wouldn't allow us. I mean, I get to see you engage, I get to see you nod, I get to see you smile. And,
Mhm.
but here's the thing, this is the problem, Kimberly. All these things that you're doing is making me go crazy because it makes me want to meet you more, right?
Well, you know what? In 2024, I have it on my calendar to meet a lot of my in person connections. And we just don't know when that's going to happen. So, Robert, I have no doubt that you and I will connect at some point in person. And, who would have thought that we would have said that? Because our initial our initial point of contact was always in person. But now it's like at some point, but I know it's going to happen.
Oh, I know it's going to happen too, and over the last few years, it's like when you meet them in person, I mean, it's crazy because it's like I know them so well. I give them hugs like I have known them all these years, right? But here's the thing: when I walk away from them, it's like all the time that I've had. And this is what's so crazy. And I know this is an entrepreneurial show. It's not a love nest show or anything like that. Try to create a better relationship. It's all this. But what I'm saying is they're all of the past conversations, all of the past virtual meetings. All of a sudden, what happens? I found, and I might be the only one, but I found is it makes all those points in the past real the
Mm.
moment you get to meet that person for real. And I love that because all of a sudden it's like you are the person that I know. And you know what? And if you're not, that's okay too. We won't Zoom again. So at any you know, so so Kimberly, you are the love and self-discovery coach. And love is, in a way, it's such a vast word. It's such, it can be an ambiguous word for people. It also can be, dare I say, scary for a lot of
Mm.
people. But then there's also self-discovery. And, when you're looking at that and you put love and you put self-discovery together, my first thought is, what in the heck is she thinking? Okay, you're talking two of the things that just make a person overly vulnerable, and in a certain space, a person's going to have to act. You know, why this field? Why now? And why you?
Oh, wow, that's a loaded question. I like to use this analogy. My life has been like this. Imagine you were building a house, right? You would need all of the materials. That's how my life was. It was like throwing the lumber out in the backyard. It was throwing the nails, the screws, the gutters, the whole thing to build the house, right? And I'm saying from a very early age. So when you say, why me? I think that first and foremost, why not? Right? If somebody had to build themselves up from the ground up, there's a lot of skills, there's a lot of learnings in there. Secondly, I have over 25 years supporting children and families in a variety of different ways. It's a God thing.
I'm sorry, Kimberly. You look like you're about 33 years old, so I cannot believe that you
Thank
have
you.
25 years unless you were like a preteen that was going door to door, you know, doing a side hustle and then selling lemonade. So I'm just going to hold you right there. So proceed.
Yeah, so I have over 25 years supporting children and families. It's a God thing. It was a God thing. More and more, I get confirmation every single day that it was a God thing. God gave me this opportunity at age 15. At age 15, He said to me, you know, I want you to work with children and families so you can absolutely understand the overall dynamics. And not only am I going to do that, but you're going to go to college, you're going to get your degree in speech language pathology, and then you're going to work with children that have a variety of different diagnoses. So when you ask me why me, why now, I have spent my life in self discovery.
Mm.
And isn't it about knowing yourself first? Knowing yourself first, owning your self worth, knowing who you are and whose you are. And when you know that and you've built the foundation, then you can go forward and you can teach others. And it is love for me, it isn't an emotion, it is a decision. Now, that's very difficult for a lot of us, right? Because we get caught up in all of the warm, fuzzy feelings. But really, honestly, it is a decision. You wake up every day and you say to yourself, how can I love better? How can I be a better lover? Not in just the partner sense, but in the global sense. How can we love our brothers and our sisters better?
You know, and I'm going to jump in here a little bit with that because it's interesting to me because in many ways it's a both. It's a heart set and a mindset, and it takes the emotion and it takes the intellect. And one of the things that I look at, and especially when it comes to love and being okay, I'm a man. I get it.
Mhm,
I'm a man. And sometimes for me, I live in my mind. I was a
mhm.
computer programmer from all those years. But here is something that I found. I'm getting goosebumps even saying it to you
Yep.
because you touched me on the word love, and it's a decision. See, the thing is so many times, and I get a lot of flack back from this, and you and I've talked about this before. We can talk about mindfulness, and
Mhm,
that's great. Being mindful of things. I'm mindful of all these things. And that's a great place to start. It's almost like a place that helps you self assess, right?
mhm,
But then to me, the next step is the assessment part of what you're seeing. And what I mean by that is, from being self-aware, I'm sorry, to self-assessment, and that means all of a sudden I can think meaningful things. But
mhm,
you know what really matters at the end of the day is I can be mindful and I can do, I can, feel meaningful things, but it's not until I'm thoughtful and I have the decision to take a loving action that it all comes to fruition. And so if I think about giving flowers to my wife at her work on Valentine's Day, that's great. But you know what really works is when I go to work, her work. I give her flowers, and the whole, lot of people that work with her go, man, I wish I had a Robert. That is love, because you go all the way through and it manifests with something that exudes meaning. What are your thoughts on that, Kimberly?
Well, I think you highlighted the most important thing. Love is a verb, so love is action. So
Mm,
we make that decision, and then we need to take action. And that's
yeah.
exactly what you displayed in your beautiful example of how you made a decision and then you took action to express your love to your wife on a day that many women love. It is a Hallmark holiday, but whether you celebrate it, whether you
Yeah.
celebrate it or not, whether you do it the day before, the day after, or
Hmm.
whenever you do it, you can make your own Valentine's Day. That works too. But that was a beautiful display of your love for your wife. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, and quite frankly, it's something I never did before, because I'm like, yeah, it is a Hallmark, holiday, and I'm like, I ain't gonna buy into it. But it wasn't about that. It was
Mhm.
about this for her.
Yep.
So in today's day and age, society is changing, and one of the things I say many times is, women are becoming warriors, men are becoming worriers. you know
Mm.
there's resources, there's places to go. There's women, young women can look at superstars all across the board, from science to business to sports, and I think it's like one of the most beautiful things ever. And me, I'm always about, embrace diversity, let's all work towards unity. And
Mhm.
there's been some great strides, but Kimberly, in ways, there are still places that women still need to get some strides, and they still need a helping hand. And one of the places is and I'm not, I'd rather say harmony, but a lot of people call it work life balance. They're working, they're doing their career, and then they have home life, and but it's not balanced. It's like they're doing it all, and sometimes they're not getting help. I mean, is that changing a little bit? And if it is it fast enough? Are we changing the way that we perceived women, overall?
Oh, Robert, this is a really loaded question. We are making gains in this area, but I think we still need to do our step forward, our 1% each day on this topic. But there are things that women can do today to harness their power, right? Their self worth, right? And that is taking care of self. Our
Yeah.
ladies out there, you can take care of yourself. That is where your power is. So, what are you doing for yourself? Self care, those two words are, they can be overrated, right? When we use them, if we don't really understand the true meaning, the essence of what that means. That means exploring yourself. That means taking yourself out on a
Mhm.
date.
Yep.
Yes, I said it. Going out on your own. Ladies, go out to dinner, go take yourself to a movie, walk out in nature, do it on your own for you. Because when you are doing that and you explore what's going on in here and get to know yourself, then you know that that's what it's all about. And then when you're coming from your power base, things like things communication is so important.
Hmm.
Assertive communication, expressing your needs and your desires to your partner in a way that he can understand. Very important, because you're coming from your power base. You're not coming from the subconscious mind. You're coming from your power.
And it's so important, because I have a saying, and I've learned this just through all the people that I get to meet and all the conversations I get to have. And I feel like I feel like that one commercial, where it's like I'm the most whatever man in the world. I feel like I'm the luckiest man in the world because I get all these conversations, and I say this again and again, and I love someone's commentary. There is no work life balance. It's a myth, and I agree with that. For me, it's always about how do I find the harmony, and I also look at it like when it comes to self-care, you have to have self-care to care.
Yes.
Because if you don't have self-care, how can you care? If you're not for yourself, how can you for others? And I think it's so important to have that time with ourselves. And so you talk about like love and having dates, and I kind of want to know how's that go. Hey honey, I'm going on my self date night tonight. I'll see you in a couple of hours. How does that work? Do you put it on the calendar, or is it, do you do it kind of like, okay, I just, in the moment, or, tell us a little bit about, because this is the first time I've actually had someone come on the show and say, yep, I go out for a self date.
Yes, a solo date. And this is one of the solo dates that I love is I love ballroom dancing. And so I love going out and I love dancing. Not dancing in the way you might think, because ballroom dancing is very intentional. You're learning a skill. It could be cooking, a cooking class. It could
Right.
be knitting. You could just spend time in the home knitting, whatever you want to do to design your solo date. It is important to date yourself. And this is for married women too. It's not just for women who are out there looking for a potential partner. It is for the married woman. Why? Because one thing we learn along the way is that our partner is not there to give us everything we need. They cannot, either side cannot fill your needs. We need to learn to fill our needs ourselves. So when we come to the middle, we can pour into each other for overflowing. And that's a much different space. We're connecting.
Yeah. And last question, because the segments go by so quickly, don't they? If there was one thing, and I always say, if, a person is drowning in the river, and I feel like if someone's drowning in the river, we have an ethical and moral obligation to save them. When you look to people that are out there that are drowning in the river, what does saving look like for you, for them?
Saving means knowing that you're not alone, that you're not alone, you're not meant to be alone. You're built for community. So that support system is really important for you. The other thing is if you have been connecting with your friends and you feel like that is not the support that you need, I say it is time to seek out a professional. Whatever you deem, whether it is from your church, whether you start there and then you kind of take baby steps into, psychologist, coach, seek professional guidance because you're not alone. Believe it or not, most of us have experienced the same core problems along our journey. So reach out, reach out. But I'm telling you, self-care, self-care is really, really an integral part of taking care of yourself. As women, we are often taking care of everyone else. I say, pause, take a breath, seek out that support. And if that support means that you need guidance, know that you're not alone in that either.
I love that. Everyone, I am with Kimberly Lechnick. She's the owner and founder of International Pathways by Design. Please contact her at K Lechnick, and that's Lecnick. That's Lechnick. So it's K Lechnick, K @gmail.com, or you can call her. She's so brave. 630-715-2324. Kimberly, outstanding. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate you, and I hope I served you well.
Thank you so much, Robert. It was an absolute pleasure.
Wow, doesn't that thing get you going? I mean, come on now. What inspirational music. I'm like, and all those people, I know a few of those people, and you may know them too. So, please, if you're looking for a heart center, like minded entrepreneur community, Entrepreneur Network is the place to go. And talk about a trailblazer, talk about heart centered, and talk about a diva who rocks. She is on my show next, and I am welcoming her tagline. I am welcoming Crystal Turner-Moffatt. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Robert. Thank you. Thank you for
I
having me.
I am happy for you to be here, and you've always impressed me, especially the first time I ever saw you, and I said, dang, that woman is in a hard hat with a safety vest on. Give me a break. I mean, if there's any person I'm ever going to meet, it's going to be Crystal Turner-Moffatt. And you know what? The first time, and I kid you not, Mary Jo, who will be on in our third segment, and Crystal and Kimberly, all of you, it's like, if I feel like I always say there's the 5-minute phone calls and then there's the 50-minute phone calls. And so I have to be very, very careful, because if I'm going to talk to Mary Jo, Crystal, or Kimberly, I got to say, you know what, I got a time limit here, because we'll just get deep.
2 hours. We've been on for
2 hours, you and I know it. And, I tell you what, and we had a plan for the world doing it, didn't we?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here today. Everyone, I'm with Crystal, with the C, Crystal D. Turner-Moffatt. She is the owner and founder of CDT EHS Consulting LLC. That is your main umbrella, and you do so many things. You can contact her at Crystal D. Turner at CDT EHS Consulting LLC.com. I feel like I'm saying the alphabet with your stuff here. Like, wow. Or better yet, call her at 914-382-3827. And man, it was pretty inspiring to me having Kimberly talk about relationships and starting out with love and self-discovery. And in many ways, she treats people in a lot of areas of vulnerability, and where a lot of people really, they really are afraid and don't have the courage or don't have the support team, and all these things around them, but she helps them. I look at you as if, you to me would be someone who comes out at the other end. You didn't have all the support systems. You didn't have all the people showing you the way. You had to, whatever you did in your life, you said, man, I'm going to have to do it myself, because no one doing it for me. And that's what I think is so impressive of you. And like I always say, I'm a part of the plus community. Embrace diversity and let's work towards unity. And being an African American woman in the United States of America, being in a male dominated, workplace. Holy crud, Crystal. That's why I said, when I saw you in that hard hat with that safety vest, I was like, I really have to meet you. But my first question for you is, where did you find a desire to say, I'm going to step into this space that really hasn't been forged before? you took the opportunity, you took up the challenge, and you made yourself an amazing place as a trailblazer among not just women, not just African Americans, but actually just all people.
Well, what I'll say, Robert, is that along the way, it's just been a discovery. It's just like been a not knowing like what I was destined for, like what the purpose was, but just like, having a faith that something was going on, something was happening. And if I, even when I thought I, didn't quite follow my path, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. I thought I was, I was pre-med. I did all these things, and I had no idea what a safety professional, what being that consisted of. And when I didn't make it to medical school, I was like, oh man, I'm a failure. That didn't work. And then I didn't know that God wasn't finished with me yet. Like, it's like my source was not finished. And I just kept following.
And that's why I say that forging,
Yes.
It's like you and I talked about, the iron in the fire, the forging of steel in becoming strong. And, for a lot of people who get turned down from something, you took turn down to turn around. And that's what yeah. And you had fear. You became fearless, didn't you?
Yeah, like they say, having courage to like go places you've never gone when you don't see people that look like you, or you're, it's just in the face of fear doing what is required anyway. So like just keep going beyond your edges to, explore and discover. And I mean, I had a lot of support from my parents. I mean, I have a history of entrepreneurship in my family from my grandparents and my parents, but going in this direction of like the sciences, being an academic or any of that, it was like I was the first to graduate from like a 4-year school in my family kind of thing. But I always had the support, but it's just like the not knowing, having to glean from other people about paths to take, having to have mentors, or when you didn't see anybody like you, just going where you needed to go and networking. I went to one conference and I didn't know anybody. I just printed some cards as a graduate student and just passed them out and just networked. And just, got myself in the place to prosper and just, be someone that's just out there.
And like, a part of that journey is knowing like not all the time are you going to be accepted, and then the other part of the time you're truly being accepted, and being able to kind of have like that internal mechanism to know like, who my friends are, like you said, who my mentors are, building your own structured team that helps advance you, but yet doing it in such a reciprocal way that they're still with you. You have people around you you've had for years, haven't you?
Yes. I do have a team of people, supporters, of course, my wonderful husband, just like holds it down, like, so that my well-being, everything at home, I could be out there in the world being safety deep because he just supplies that for me. And just a belief when you realize you're not alone is, and you also, I guess getting complete. And for me, like I'm able to now kind of walk in a power, knowing that I've been on a path, that I didn't know. And once I found out, it's like, like now, knowing all that stuff is fine, but now I just get to create my future. And I take it personal, a lot of times when you might meet up with people who like, I have to wear my resume on my sleeve and they want to know this or that. How did you get here? They see my resume. They can't believe like, how could you, be in this space or do this? But there are people who will contribute to you and just be open to that contribution, open to, receive from people. And then, just meet people where they are and realize that, people have different experiences. That's why I love advocating for diversity, equity, inclusion, advocating for people, just being able to accept differences and realize that differences, when we meet together and they intersect, we're not coming from the same myopic point of view. We really get to contribute to each other. And, that's what I'm all for.
I love that, because that's why, like I always say, embrace diversity, because it's the diversity that creates this open space in everyone that they don't have it. It's not a closed space, it's an open space. And it's just like grabbing different knowledges and grabbing different experiences and being a part of something that's greater than your if, and you're all of a sudden you're saying, wow, man, I'm interconnected to a whole bunch of things. It's not just this. The world
Yes.
is both a big and a little place at the same time. But I want to come back because I'm getting goosebumps right now
That's why
just
I
because
love
I'm
what
gonna
you're
say it.
doing, Robert, with this
No,
marriage.
no, no. I'm gonna get back to your husband here because that would sparkled me so much because you know in your life in a way I'd like and I'm probably wrong, but it's like you didn't have time for men. You like
Mhm.
you took your time and you had a mission and you reached your vision, and it's just like, hey, here, these are my goals, these are my intentions, these are my markers, and you know what, for you it's like I'm going to be accomplished. But the thing is you have a later life marriage. But
Yes.
how beautiful is that marriage, and how important is it for you now in life to be able to share something with someone that you love so much?
Yeah, I
Look at
met
your
my
smile. I see your
right,
smile
yeah.
right
'Cause
there.
I mean, yeah, I kissed a lot of frogs, mind you. And I mean, yeah, there was the process of me like, realizing I didn't have to dumb myself down. And when guys would be intimidated, oh, you're too intelligent, you're too spiritual. I mean, when the right person came along, my source said, that's the one, just be patient. And I wanted to come to the table also, being ready and everything for us to share what we have individually. But yeah, it's just been a matter of, it took the time, and we both had never been married, and just how it happened, it just
Mhm.
was the right time. And he was there to support me as my mom, was
Yeah.
aging, and support me and taking care of her, and just a generous person that he is. Like I said, just being who he is, that I can be out here being safety diva, and I'm just like taking care of and nurturing and home, and it's all good.
Um, you know, I love that, and so much of the time I hear that saying it. Um, you know, great men, right? There's always a great woman behind every great
Uh,
man. But for you too, how great is it to be a great woman and have a great man behind you?
yeah, there's a
How
king
does that
behind this queen
feel?
over here. There's a king behind this
Yeah.
queen. That's
I- oh my gosh, I love that. But so you and I get to talk, and I know this, but our audience, may not know this, but you know, y- you have drivers in you, you have passions in you.
uh,
What moves and touches you, and what keeps you going? Because you don't necessarily have to do all the things that you do. You really don't. You've reached some amazing milestones. But what right now keeps driving you to say, I'm still going to be the best that I'm going to be. I'm still going to get out there, meet people where they're at, and I'm still going to be a beacon of inspiration for others, so they can, dream as well.
um, I would say, like right about now, like the development I've done, things I've done just to grow in mind, body, and spirit, I'd say like has me at a place of fulfillment right now,
Hmm.
where it's like any inklings, and they do come up from time to time, but like the major thought of me like not being enough, or not being powerful, or not being a contribution to myself first, and all of that is kind of like worked itself out to the point where I'm whole and complete as an individual. And I just like, my mission is that really I see right now, continue to have conversations with people that just have them be at a place of healing, wholeness, and completeness when they're with me.
Hmm.
I think that's like a gift I've been given, just being a clearing for people for that. And that they're empowered, because I feel empowered. I just feel empowered with all that I've been given to do that. And that when people have conversations with me, they're left like in a place of empowerment. And that as I that's what has me want to be a contribution. I think I just was destined to do what I'm doing, to provide safety and nurturing for the world, like especially in the construction industry. Like I said, that's where a lot of risk and people are dying, and that's where I've just been driven to. But yeah, it's just a desire that the kind of conversations I have with people and the kind of community I get to contribute to is just elevated just by like the legacy I want to leave. That's it. I just want to leave all poured out with
Yeah,
every gift I've been given.
Absolutely. And so, I'm also going to go back to another step because I do think it's very interesting. And, like I thought I was going to go down one career path. I thought I was going to be something and I turned into something else. For me, Crystal, I thought I was going to be a lifelong Marine Corps officer. That was my big hope. That was my dream, is to be a Marine
Mm-hmm.
Corps officer. I was in the Marines 6 years. I ended up, doing 2 church missions after that. And I went to school and then went to grad school, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was like 30 years old, but I learned programming, and I was a programmer for about 22 years. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you had you were going to go to med school, and you had to change everything. But it's interesting to me to go from, let's say, the medical world to
Mm-hmm.
to safety, because safety isn't like the first thing that anyone thinks on their mind. What
No.
really geared you to that passion, and where you said yes?
Well, most people don't even know that the profession exists. It's like something a lot of people find out about later. I mean, we're, as a profession, a lot of professionals are trying to reach out to more colleges and high schools and junior high to get into
Right.
STEM education so that they know about it. But it's kind of like this thing you kind of meander into, and it's a calling. I really do believe. And I didn't know. Not only did I need to know everything you need to know to be a medical professional, but it's psychology, it's sociology, and then there's all these other ologies. And yeah, I just kind of like, I was following still the medical path, and I did some pharmacology and toxicology. I ended up realizing a lot of environmental things are what affects people, their exposure to toxins and hazards. And then it just kind of follow. I looked at safety in industry, industrial hygiene, and people were like, well, you're an industrial hygienist or a safety professional. I'm like, I'm whatever is going to get me to pay those bills
Right.
and like build the
Yeah.
But ultimately, I just kept following the risk. And it turns out that like safety really was something that's like innate, like the little hairs on the back of my neck would go up. Innately, I think women make really good safety professionals because we have this innate thing like danger, like protecting the young. Really, and it's like the sites I've been on is kind of like I just get to be like den mother and like make sure everybody's cool. But behind
that nest needs a few twigs over there. Come on.
Yeah, behind the scenes though, it's like it looks like we're just babysitting workers or you're just babysitting. But when the stuff hits the fan, you really have all those skills and tools and knowledge come into play. And you just get to act like that and have everything work. But yeah, I just kept following the path, just not knowing that it took a whole lot more than what I thought.
Oh, it doesn't everything. And my grandfather said, if you plan it's going to cost $100, make sure you have 200. So
yeah,
I've always learned and listened from it, and I love some of these things that get passed down. Everyone, I'm with Crystal with the C, D Turner-Moffatt. She's the owner and founder of CDT EHS Consulting LLC. You can contact her at Crystal with the C, D Turner at CDT EHS Consulting LLC. I'm telling you, there's a lot of alphabet there.
Yeah.
Or just call her. I say do it the easy way. Just call her. I mean, she would love to hear from you.
The
Safety Diva. SafetyDiva.com. Or call her at 914-382-3827. Again, 914-382-3827. Crystal, thank you so much for being on the show today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I served you well, and I hope that you may even come back someday.
Yeah, I love being with you, Robert. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, I love being with you as well. And please tell your husband hello.
I will. Bye. Bye, Robert.
Bye. Well, I hope everyone can see why I love Kimberly so much and why I love Crystal so much. I feel like I'm with family, and that means a lot to me. And by the way, it's the iEntrepreneur Network family. We're heart-centered, like-minded business owners, entrepreneurs, and influencers all come together to not only impact the commerce around them, but impact the world in a very powerful way. And another person who I love as well is coming onto the show, and I'm so excited to invite her, and that's Mary Jo Rennert Gremling. Hi, and those gremlins kind of almost messed us up, Mary Jo.
Really? Yeah, yeah. Oh,
My
Robert, it's such a
gosh.
pleasure to be back with you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for being on as well. And it's so great. What I love about Mary Jo is she loves everything to be right, everyone. She really, really does. She has a heart for being right. And we wanted to make sure you have your scarf on. So whatever you have your scarf on, right?
I will
Tell
tell you.
everyone.
Okay, I'll tell everybody. I have a white shirt, a white shirt underneath here. And with the white hair and the white shirt, my camera on StreamYard, um, you can't adjust the light. I have lights all over here, but everything was light except my face. So I thought I got to cover up some of this white. So anyway, yeah, I'll fess up on that.
Yeah, it's okay. I just love it. I mean,
It's a vanity thing. I'm so sorry. It's
right.
okay.
No, it's okay. I love that because that also will go over to how you work with clients. And so I think that matters. So everyone, I am with Mary Jo Rennert Gremling. She's the owner of Bestwine Press. Boy, I can't imagine there's not a story to Bestwine Press. But at any rate, contact her at maryjogremling@gmail.com or call her at 574-527-3832. Again, 574-527-3832. And, Mary Jo, what really attracts me to you is, you said that you work with people and you want to take their God-given mission in life and really, in my interpretation, give them a voice that leaves a legacy for the world. And,
Exactly.
tell me about, we're, I don't know if you were always a publisher, but one day you made that conscious decision to say, I'm going to stop shining shoes or, shoeing horses or whatever. I don't know. To become a publisher, what made you go into publishing and say, you know what, this really is the space where not only can I be a part of the dreams and legacy, but I can do this for others as well.
Well, you are probably one of the very few people I've met who has maybe even more parts to their career path than I've had.
Oh no. Oh my God.
Because I used to say I had a career path that went like this. And now I realized my career path was like Ray's, and it all goes to a point.
Yeah.
I started out as a registered nurse. That's what I am by education. And, did that for a while. I was working as a part-time working artist, teaching portrait classes, and that's a whole other story. And had been out of the workforce while my children were little. And when my youngest went into kindergarten, my husband looked at me and said, we're set up to be a 2-income family. Mm-hmm. And I won't say I was real happy at that point. I didn't want to go back into nursing because, you go into hospital nursing, you work every other weekend and holidays. And if you're the new kid on the block, you work all those.
Right.
So I remember getting down on the floor with the newspaper. This is a long time ago.
What is a newspaper, right? No.
Yeah, right. Oh. And I'm looking at want ads. What's a want ad?
What's a want ad? Right, And
I saw this one. And now I lived in Jonesboro, Arkansas at the time. I lived in a relatively small community, 30,000 people. So you don't expect to see an ad for a publisher in the newspaper, the local paper. But there was this ad and it said wanted artists, writers, editors, and typists. Well, I'd edited my high school newspaper. I'm a good writer. I've been a writer all my life. And I'd been a working artist for several years. And so I put together my portfolio and went and had an interview there. And they called me back and they said, how would you like to do art on computer? And I'm like, no, this was like 1987.
Wow.
And I had put at the bottom of my resume, I had one of those little, you'll remember, the little plastic IBM clones. They look like a little suitcase.
Yes.
I had put at the bottom of my resume that I knew how to use a computer because we had one of those for a few weeks.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. So what I would call this is kind of like the seed of stardom.
Exactly. You know, I mean, I said, awesome. So they set me up. They said, we'll get you a Macintosh. And I'm thinking, what's a Macintosh?
Oh my gosh. I love it. Oh my goodness.
So they set me up with a state-of-the-art setup. I mean, this was a company that had they were called a development house, and they worked for the major publishers in children's textbook publishing. And they would do everything from developing a program all the way through writing and editing. And in the past, then they had handed it off for production before it went to print. Nobody was doing desktop publishing. It was not a thing yet. And so they wanted to be cutting edge and set up a production department. And they paid me to learn these tutorials for Adobe Illustrator, PageMaker at that point. We went on to Quark later on.
Quark Express in Quark.
You know, some of the high-end professional programs. And I probably wore a path in the linoleum or whatever to my boss's office because I was like, I don't know where I saved this file.
Oh my gosh.
I loved it, but the learning curve was substantial. And they didn't tell me till after the project was done, which took months and months and months, that this was the first desktop published K through 8 program, was a math program, done in the children's textbook industry. It was for a publisher that no longer is even in existence because they've all eaten each other up. But
oh my God.
It was a blast.
That's a very powerful story, and it's also very powerful too. Like with Crystal, she's been a trailblazer, and you know, it really in the early years of publishing, it was certainly more male dominated as well. And as years have gone on, you know, we're starting to see, you know, certainly more women getting into the publishing industry. And that's not what I want to talk about, but I just want to celebrate how diverse the publishing industry has become now. You know, but one of the things is I work with, you know, I've worked with over a few thousand authors now, Mary Jo, and it's really funny to me. And one of the things is, like you, my goal is to demystify the publishing industry, to say that we have the resources, we have the talent, we have the access points, so you can have that story written. You can, you know, have your, you know, your magnus opus, you know, written. You can have your business book published and take it to an event, et cetera, et cetera. You know, we are reaching unprecedented times, but yet the biggest thing about our industry is the misconceptions and people's fear. And I'm still, you know, in the place of understanding, you know, why be fearful of your own voice? But people are, aren't they?
Very much so. You know, public speaking is the number one fear. I would say that writing is maybe even more so for a lot of people.
I agree.
Because
I
it takes
agree.
them, yeah, it takes them back to a school mindset, where somebody's sitting there with a red pen and they're grading your paper. And by the way, that is not editor's intent, as an editor, that's
Right.
not my intent. But what I appreciate about, and I've written for a couple of your books, what I appreciate about your process is you're a pro, and you want that product to be professional, and you want to represent your authors professionally. And that's my passion.
Yeah.
If I've worked with authors whose target is business professionals, high end. I said to one, who's your target? And she's like, CEOs. And I looked at her manuscript and I thought, ugh. And at that point, she had published it as an ebook. And so it was out there with all those typos and all the grammatical glitches and things. And I'm passionate about your book representing you in the image that you want to convey.
Yeah.
It's really important.
And this is really important to me because I had a saying a long time ago, Mary Jo. I said, social media makes us sloppy.
Oh, yeah.
Social media makes us sloppy. And the thing is there's nothing worse than having something that's so timeless as a book. The credibility, the influence, the exposure, the meaning behind it. And here's a funny thing for you. I remember I'd talk to people and they're like, well, why do I want to be in your book? And I would tell them, I said, I'll tell you this. We've had over 1,000 authors in the Art of Connection book series, and not one of the authors has come back and said to me, oh my goodness, the worst thing I've ever done was become an international best-selling author of an award-winning book series that's in the Library of Congress. No, they come back to me and they're like, oh my God, I got my book, from, FedEx today. And it's like, they're excited, but we're so sloppy with social media. And you're right. It takes this, like, a changing of the lens, or it takes like a whole paradigm shift to say, you're not in the land of Oz anymore. This is not social media. This is something that is permanent and can and will create legacy for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
right? Am I right? Or am I just talking to the notebook?
You're definitely right. One of my favorite projects, they're all favorites, but they're like children.
They are, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
They're like babies. My mother kept a sketch journal for 20 years. She's a wonderful artist and she's a poet and she's a good writer. But she had this handwritten journal that she had kept in black India ink and drawn sketches and everything. And in my eclectic career path at one point, I ran a document scanning company.
Well, of course you did,
This is before I went out of publishing after 10 years. I did all kinds of other things. I'm back in publishing. But at one point I had a document scanning company and we were scanning with book scanners. We were doing some boutique historical stuff. And my mother knew it. And she said, do you think you could scan my my sketch journal? She said, I would like to kind of leave that as a legacy. And because she had written about her grandchildren, she'd written about my dad, she'd written about her parents and her grandparents. And so we did. I had that book, we scanned it.
Mm-hmm.
We scanned it exactly, so it was on recycled paper. So the little flaws in the paper and everything are in there. And we gave it to her kids, her grandkids, at Christmas. And it happened to be a week after my father had died. So everybody was a little emotional at the big family gathering anyway. But it stopped Christmas. When people opened their books and they realized that here's Grandma Joanne's sketchbook. It literally, even the little kids, it was like, oh my gosh. It's a wonderful, wonderful legacy.
It is. It's a beautiful legacy, and we can do it in so many ways.
Mhm.
Mary Jo, the segment, it comes too quickly for us. Oh my goodness. Again, everyone, I am with Mary Jo Rennert Gremling, and believe me, there's some gremlins with Gremling, but in the most positive of ways. She is the owner of Bestwine Press. I got to bring you on so we can have the story like, why Bestwine Press? Contact her at maryjogremling@gmail.com. Again, that's maryjogremling at gmail.com, or call her at 574-527-3832. Mary Jo, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Oh, Robert, it's my honor. Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you. Oh my gosh, everyone, what a great show. I felt like I had 3 of my besties here today, and I truly say that. The conversations that we have, the trouble that we get into, and the things that we're going to accomplish, I feel like it's out of a Dr. Seuss book. Again, my name is Robert W. Jones. I'm the owner and the founder of the iNetrepreneur Network. We are in that crazy state of Arizona, so right now we're on Mountain Standard Time, so that means it's 3:31 in the PM of Arizona, and sometime we're in the Pacific. It's just the way it goes. I know that you have places to go and things to do, but you took this time and place to do it with us, and I want to say thank you for that. You guys have a great week and just make great things happen.
You've been watching the iNetrepreneur Show, a production of the iNetrepreneur Radio Network with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.